Okay, time for this week's picks. Did not have a good Sunday last week, 1-2 on the 3 picks. Did win the Thursday night game. That puts us at 9-8 on the year, just a game over 500. But hey, we're only one great week away from being comfortably in the black. Hopefully this week will be the week. You might notice my voice sounds a little different. That's because I've gotten sick here in the last 48 hours. And maybe my sickness has affected my brain because my 3 choices this week are a little risky. I'll admit they're a little risky. I'm betting on a bad team. I'm betting against the best team in football. And I'm betting against Peyton Manning. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of disagreement out there on these picks this week. But after giving it a lot of thought, these are my 3 favorite games. I want to start out west where the Arizona Cardinals are 4.5-point favorites over the Buffalo Bills. 43.5 the total in this game on BETDAQ. Arizona has been getting a lot of love out in Vegas all week. A lot of public money on the Cardinals. I think the general consensus is Arizona might not be getting enough respect. A 4-1 team playing at home against a team that has allowed 97 points over the last 2 weeks. But I like Buffalo in this game, and I recognize I'm going right in the face of a couple of trends. Arizona 6-2 against the number in their last 8 home games. Buffalo only 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 road games. And again, the Buffalo defense was just so bad. The Bills in general, 45-3 last week in San Francisco. What else can you say about that performance? But I like the Bills and the points this week, and it mainly has to do with the fact that Arizona is really, really bad on offense. And even against this Buffalo Bills defense, I just cannot see Arizona putting up a whole lot of points. And Buffalo, despite their flaws on defense, they're pretty good on offense. I know they were shut down last week by a great 49ers defense, but they can do some things. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a pretty good quarterback. Maybe my opinion on him is a little higher than most people, but I do like Fitzpatrick. Stevie Johnson, a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. Fred Jackson is back in that lineup now. So even though Arizona has a tough defense, I do expect Buffalo to have some success on offense this week. And Arizona, again, 31st in the league in total offense. They have more injuries at the running back position. Beanie Wells is already out. Now Ryan Williams is out. LaRod Stevens-Howling might come back this week. But, Buffalo, if they have any professional pride, again, 97 points over the last 2 weeks. And this Bills team might not be quite as bad as we're making them out to be, or not quite as bad as we think they are now after getting beat by 42 points last week. Remember, after being blown out in Week 1, the Bills won 2 straight games. Then in their next game, Week 4, just a couple of weeks ago, they were ahead of the New England Patriots 21-7 in the third quarter. So this Buffalo team is not a pathetic team, I don't think. Their defense has certainly been pathetic over the last 6 quarters. Buffalo has stayed out west this week. They played out in San Francisco, and they've stayed out west for the week in between these 2 games. And I just believe, again, I believe they're going to respond with a little bit of pride. They're facing a much worse offense than they faced last week, and a defense that's a little worse. I know the Cardinals are good on defense. But they're not as good as the San Francisco 49ers. So not sure if the Bills are going to win this game, but I have a feeling it's going to be close. And I have a feeling this is the type of game where those 4.5 points might really come in handy. I am on Buffalo this week, plus 4.5. Next game, the Sunday night game, should be an excellent game. Green Bay Packers going on the road to face the Houston Texans. Houston, of course, has looked as good as any team in the league this year. 5-0, undefeated. Green Bay has been a real disappointment. 2-3 on the year. Really inexplicably lost a game last week to the Indianapolis Colts after being up 21-3 at half. Now, Green Bay's players and coaches this week, you've heard them talk throughout the week, and they sound like they're ready and focused for this game. Who knows if that's a bunch of lip service or not. Greg Jennings, their best wide receiver, once again going to be out for this game. However, I do like the Packers here. They're 3.5-point underdogs on BETDAQ. 48's the total in this game. There's certain rhythms. The NFL has certain rhythms. There's only been one undefeated team in the history of the NFL. The Packers are a motivated, good team. I don't care that they're only 2-3 on the year. This team was 15-1 in the regular season last year. Their defense playing better this year than they played last year. The Packers know how to do it. They know what it takes. They need this game. Remember, 2 teams in the NFC North only have 1 loss. Packers already have 3 losses. If they lose this game, they're digging themselves a real early hole. And Houston, despite the fact that they're a really good team, no doubt about it, they've looked as good as any team in the league to me. When you look at the people they've beaten, all 5 of the teams they've beaten, they're 5-0 once again. All 5 of those teams currently have a losing record. When we look at this Houston defense, are we overhyping this Houston defense a little bit? Brian Cushing, one of their best players, now out for the season, was injured last week. But the Houston pass defense especially, we're going to find a whole lot out about the Houston pass defense in this game. Currently ranked 3rd in the NFL, but out of their 5 games, let me read you 4 of the 5 offenses. Miami, Jacksonville, Tennessee, New York Jets. What do those 4 teams have in common? They cannot throw the football. Now, their other game was against the Denver Broncos, a team that currently has a losing record, but can throw the football. And Denver had a lot of success throwing it in that game. So, Green Bay, even without Greg Jennings, even with Jermichael Finley questionable, I think Green Bay is going to be a whole different league from what Houston's seen so far this season, on defense anyway. The Green Bay offense, that is, will be in a whole different league than what Houston's seen thus far. And I think the Packers might win this game. Again, 3.5-point underdogs. I just have a feeling Green Bay is going to go in there and play them tough. And Houston, it's tough betting against Houston. And again, I said in the beginning, these are risky picks. Houston 12-3-2 against the number in their last 17 games. So people just keep underestimating Houston. And a lot of people like Houston this week. A lot of people think that Green Bay is getting a little too much respect out in Vegas. A losing team, only a 3.5-point underdog in Houston. But again, I think we're going to see a Packers team that looks more like the Packers team we saw last year. And I'm not sure that Houston, even though they're good, when you look at the teams they've beaten, when you look at the offenses they've played, I'm not sure they're quite as good, especially on defense, as we've been giving them credit for. Now, they might prove me wrong on Sunday. Maybe I'll be singing a different tune after Sunday night. But as of now, I do like Green Bay plus 3.5 in this game, and I am going to play on this game. Final game of the week that I like, the Monday night game, San Diego Chargers at home, a 1-point favorite right now on BETDAQ over the Denver Broncos, 48.5 the total in this game. And I like the home team. I like the Chargers. Denver, in my mind, has been overvalued all year, and this is continuing. I've made this argument before. I believe it's completely valid. Heading into the year, nearly everybody picked Denver as the favorite in the AFC West. A lot of people were thinking they were going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. And the reason for that is because people said, well, this team won the division last year, won a playoff game, and now they're adding Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But when you look a little closer, Denver last year was 1-4 when Tim Tebow came in to play quarterback, and they totally changed that offense. If he had not come in, if they had not changed that offense, remember, what they did when they changed that offense, they started becoming a run-heavy, almost run-exclusive offense, led the league in rushing by a wide margin. Denver games all of a sudden became a lot more low-scoring. The games were shortened. The defense was more rested. And so I believe that, Denver, if they hadn't have made that switch, if they had kept on going with your pro-style offense, with your Kyle Orton offense, they would have been a 4-12, 5-11 type team. That was the road they were headed down. Their defense was not good last year. Despite what people are going to tell you, oh, Denver's defense won all those games, their defense did not finish in the top 20 in the league in yards allowed. Their defense allowed more 40-point games than any defense in the league. So a lot of that good play, a lot of those Denver low-scoring games in the middle of the season when they won all those games had to do with the fact they changed their philosophy on offense, really shortening those games. So when you look at this season, Peyton Manning, instead of, even though factually they did win the division, but in reality, I think it's closer to Peyton Manning coming in and taking over a 10 or 11 loss team, and he has improved that team. That's closer to the reality than Manning coming in and taking over a team that was already ready-made for him. And so again, I think people's opinions were wrong, a little distorted on that. And throughout the year, through these 5 weeks, I've sort of been proven right on my thought about Denver here. They have been overvalued. Again, this team 2-3 on the year. And I think they're overvalued again in this game. I don't think they're as good a team as San Diego. San Diego, even though Denver has some good pieces in the front seven, San Diego has a better front seven. The Chargers do struggle a little in the secondary, so as usual, I expect Manning to have success in this game. But Denver has holes in the secondary themselves, especially the safety position. Look for Phillip Rivers and that Chargers offense to get it going a little bit. Antonio Gates has been quiet this year, very quiet, even though he's supposedly healthy. I look for Gates to have a big game in this game. He's always been a tough matchup for Denver. Look for the San Diego Chargers as 1-point favorites to beat their division rival Denver Broncos. So that's it. Those are my 3 games. Buffalo plus 4.5, Green Bay plus 3.5, San Diego -1. I wish you the best of luck this week, and whatever you decide to do, just so long as your interests don't conflict with my interests.